Type 9. Type 9. Type 9. Type 9.
And welcome back to another live stream. Good morning to all of you guys. It's the Wednesday pre-market live stream. Nice having all 22 of you here today. Let's get this show on the road. So I have a couple of things to discuss today. The first, as usual, we'll go through our pre-market breakdown. And then after which I will take questions. So have those queued. As usual, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Show me some love with those likes on that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. If this is your first time here, welcome in. I'm also going to do a breakdown of a couple of plays that I did yesterday, just to give you a insight on how those plays came to fruition. Maybe it helps you guys. I feel like maybe some of you guys need some assistance with visualizing entries and exits, and so we're gonna kind of do that today, and hopefully it helps you guys. Okay, so to start off, I'm gonna go through the news, which doesn't have well, there is some crazy news today. The headline on Bloomberg says that why is oil at negative 100 not a crazy bet anymore? This goes hand in hand with my oil prediction for the past 2-3 weeks. I've been saying oil is going to suffer a Humpty Dumpty fall, and that's exactly what has happened. Spot oil is now at $13.93, the lowest it has ever been in a long, long while. And this is actually quite ridiculous because this drop is really, really crazy. When oil is supposed to be trading at the average price of about $50, we're seeing a extension now down to never before seen levels, and this is all because of the situation that I've been covering for weeks now, with OPEC and Russia, Mexico, and the United States not agreeing to cuts simultaneously. And hence, oversupply, under demand with coronavirus going on. We have a 30% demand gap, which is causing oversupply and no place to store. So people are, willing to get rid of their oil for a very cheap price, just in interest of, getting it out of their storage. Because storing oil costs money. It's an organic product. It needs special storage. You can't just store it in, like a barrel or something like that. That would solve a problem very easily. But it's crude oil, so it's an organic product. It has to be taken care of. It's like liquid gold, right? That's what it's actually called. These are the kinds of, storage bunkers that it usually gets stored in. And these cost money because there's a hazard to store them. So there is a possibility that oil goes down further. For anybody who has been buying USO, I highly recommend at this point to stop buying USO. I think that it's a very... Oh, I'm sorry. Let me share the screen. My bad, guys. I got you. Okay, sorry. Got it. So with oil... as I was saying, if you're buying USO right now, stop buying USO. I highly recommend you not to add more positions, especially if you have a short expiry on USO. I want you to see why I'm telling you not to. So if you search the USO oil fund and look at the holdings in that oil fund, I want to show you what that fund consists of, because this is important, okay? You have to realize that this fund consists of majority contracts that are very short expiry contracts, okay? There's June and July contracts in this fund, and look at the market value of this contract. Okay, it's almost at $1 billion. There's been $1.6 billion of inflow from retail traders buying this fund in the past few days, and it's crazy because I think the amount of money that's pouring into here is and people are thinking that oil is going to go back up like really soon. I personally do not think so. It's not going to go back up like a 90 degree and suddenly voila. We need some considerable cuts to be made and some really cross-country disciplinary agreements between US, OPEC, Russia, and Mexico. And if they all don't agree to a supply cut, the oil price is going to continue to fall. Now, the other thing to note is that because this value is so high, these contracts which are in the fund are going to be substantially harder for this fund to roll over because it's such a big amount of money. Look at this. This is 600 million. This is 1.6 billion. This is a total of $2.2 billion right here. And this is going to be difficult for this fund, USO, to roll over into the next period because that's what typically happens with these funds. And then, of course, the rest of this fund consists of treasuries from the U.S. Treasury. So, and then the rest of it is cash. There's cash. There's some other injections from other companies. So, and look, so as I was talking, right? Look, so the next contracts that are pending are July for crude, July for, and then we have August. These are eventually going to roll over to these if they're not sold. And it's going to be very difficult for those to roll over because of the sheer size, the volume. So I would avoid buying more USO. Wait for a sign, wait for something to happen before you go balls deep on it. Okay. That concludes my oil update for today. And then there is also, I read news that China is kind of bracing for a second wave of the coronavirus, which I hope is, going to be fine with them. I really wish them all the best because it seems like this virus is showing no signs of slowing down right now. But we may hopefully see some relief in May. And if that happens, then it may be for a short while before we start, experiencing downturns again. So it's going to be an interesting next 2 months, guys. Apart from that, I didn't really read anything that was really interesting per se. Let's look at Wall Street Journal. I don't think there is much here. U.S. works to contain fallout from coronavirus. There was a Senate bill passed, for small businesses. I think to the 480 billion. I don't see that making a move in the market. It seems that's not probably going to make any difference to the market at all. Apart from that, I don't see a lot of important news coming out. Let's look at the pre-market movers today. We have Inovio. So these are all the pre-market movers, and they're all trading in upwards of 1 million shares. Avoid the ones which are low in value. The ones with cents I avoid because their volume will be skewed for obvious reasons. United Airlines seeing some inflows or outflows today. 5.9 million shares traded pre-market. Keep an eye on United Airlines today. That will be something to look at. Inovio, also another one, seeing inflows of 7%, 2 million shares traded pre-market. Snapchat, I think this was an ER maybe. I can't be sure, but I think it might be an ER play that when good. I guess Snapchat is seeing positive. I'm pretty sure that Snapchat must have seen some positive results on ER. And then ignore this one. Delta Airlines seeing inflows. That's kind of weird because you have UAL seeing outflows, Delta Airlines seeing inflows. So keep an eye on the airline sector. That should be something to look at today. Some interesting stuff going on. And then here, nothing much to see. Do we have any important economic calendar news? Let's see. We have house pricing index. Not really that important. No. This is going to be impacting oil. It's the storage report for oil. So this may cause oil to either spike or fall a little bit today at 9:30. So keep that in mind. The rest of the news is not really that important. Okay. And then you can see yesterday's it was a bloodbath. So we had all sectors showing red. It was a red day, and today we are opening up red. So let's get into technical analysis for a SPY. Continuing on with our analysis, as I have been saying, we had initially thought this was a ABC wave, which was going to drop into a dead cat bounce. That never happened. Instead, what we had was SPY rallying on low volume, as we have previously said. Then the reason why I was rallying on low volume was decapitulation with no sellers in the market, and hence we saw an upward channel up to here. Now we are seeing kind of a resistance on this level, which was actually coinciding with the fib retracement of the swing low to the swing high. And you can see it right here. I'm going to draw it in for you guys so that you can see that. Make this one a different color. I'll make this one red. So the original fib retracement from the swing high to the low gave us this projection. We were initially hoping that we would bounce at the 61.8, but we never got that bounce. And instead, the 50 moving average was a resistance zone, you can say, a supply zone at which traders were selling into. So we never saw the rally to 61.8, but I can assure you that we will get to 61.8 in the near future. It's not how, it's when. Okay, right now we are seeing a retracement back. I would say that this retracement would come back to the 61.8 at this level here. So I think that SPY has some downside before we see the next wave up. Remember, stocks never move in a straight line. We always see impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, corrective wave. And so we will be waiting for SPY. Now, interesting thing enough, if you look on the 4-hourly, you can see it pretty clearly here. We have the impulsive wave, the corrective wave, the impulsive wave, corrective, impulsive, corrective, impulsive, corrective, impulsive, corrective, and then we might see an impulsive wave and another corrective wave down here. So you might see a short rally today, but I wouldn't buy into the rally. Just be careful with that. We tested the 38.2 level, but I think that we should at least go to the 50 and the 61.8 in order to properly give a retracement down here before moving back up. So keep that in mind. These things happen in a slow pace. It's never that the market moves over a day. And another thing to keep on track is last live stream I mentioned very briefly that the news has started to cycle bad news, right? We had the news cycling through a lot of good news recently, and then now the news has started to cycle bad news. So remember what I say, you always do the opposite to what the news tells you, right? If the news, and the funny thing is the news was telling you to buy at these levels. If you look at the news, go back and look at the news for the past, I don't know, few days, you would see the news has been saying, buy stocks now, we're back in a bull run, analysts are seeing upside, this, that, right? That was the absolute wrong time to buy, right? And now that the bad news is coming out, they're telling you to sell. So, they want you to basically, they want to screw you, okay? So remember, the news is still cycling. I would give it till Friday for them to continue cycling, and that's going to cause possibly another drop. I'm not saying this is 100%, but this would be my bet that we see a further drop before a recovery. It's more likely that we will see the drop going along with the macro terms that we have, okay? Okay, so just covered the basis of technical analysis with the SPY. That's what we usually do here on the live stream. If you're here for the first time, welcome in. Love you guys for being here, taking your time out to attend the stream. If you haven't clicked on the like button, go ahead. Remember that we are a live stream that is partnered with Option Swing, a online trading community of almost 800 traders. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have 800 now. 100 plus another 696. Yeah, we are definitely at 800 now. So we have about 800 plus traders here, not even including the diamond members. Those are people who are on yearly subs. Great call out channels that are, very immersive with learning. We have an entire dedicated options flow channel that gives us prints on smart money. We have an educational platform and educational chat, which I spearhead and I run, and I would love to give you the opportunity to be a part of that. So if you ever need a dedicated learning platform, Option Swing is your best bet. I have been here for about, coming to 5 months or more now, and I think that it is a great platform to learn from. So let's do a breakdown, okay? I want to show you a trade that I took yesterday on Roku. Many of you in Option Swing know about this trade. I called it out on the room. It was this one right here, okay? I did a day trade. It was 4 contracts. I bought the, it was, I believe, the $120 put. Yes, 120 puts, okay. I bought the 120 puts on Roku yesterday, and I'll show you exactly how I came out with this idea or what I saw and my thought process, and this bagged me 100% yesterday, along with me doing risk management. And I'll show you what I did with the risk management too, so you know. Okay, so yesterday, Roku opened up, and I was watching Roku when it opened up because it's part of the stocks that are on my watch list, okay. And this was also called out by Will and the gang who run the watch list. Okay, we have a watch list that the gang puts out every day, and this watch list is super helpful. See, Roku was on there. But I actually didn't see this. I actually acted on Roku on my own, but still the watch list already pointed it out. So if you followed, and big shout out to Will and the other two guys. There's Donald Trump guy and let's see what's his name is Warwick, right? They are people who are kind of making the watch list every day, and it's very helpful. So highly recommend following the watch list. Okay. What I saw was Roku opened up here and immediately started to sell off with a big candlestick. Okay. I'm going to use a different color here. So let's go with green. No, green's going to be bad. Blue. Okay. So I saw this big candlestick and then another big candlestick that showed me that there was bearish pressure on the stock. Okay. And then I saw the stock pop back up and test the 50 moving average. Yeah, I think this is, no, it's a 200 moving average for me on the 5-minute chart. Okay, I was looking at it on the 5-minute chart, and this is what I saw. Okay, along with that, I saw that Roku was oversold at this point, right? So I saw that it being oversold, it would naturally bounce over here and try to, go up for a breath of fresh air. So I did not chase this trade down. Never chase the trade down. Always wait for the corrective wave before you enter if you are thinking of a put. The reverse would be true for the call, okay? So I saw Roku get bought up again. Now, this was a big risk that I took that paid off, obviously, because I saw that it failed to break this old support. The green is a support. It was a previous support level, as you can see over here, and it turned into a resistance. Now, this is a very, very important basis of learning about support and resistances, okay? When you see a support turn into a resistance, you can more than likely tell that this stock is going to reverse in trend, okay? So once I saw that, I entered a put with 2 contracts over here, okay? And I took that put, and then I saw a series of bearish candles, these 2 right here, okay? And at this point, I added 2 more contracts for a total of 4 contracts, okay? So I averaged in my price, and then I saw Roku have a doji, and I was initially thinking, okay, maybe this may be a situation where it's gonna, go back up, but instead, I was playing along with the momentum of SPY, which was selling off yesterday throughout the entire day, and saw that SPY was weak, and hence I decided to hold my position and rode all the way to 120. Okay. Now, how did I know which option to pick, and why did I pick that option? Because that's important too, right? So let's go through this really quickly. Okay. So I knew that Roku was trading at this level, right? So this level here is roughly the 131 zone, okay? And I knew that if it breaks this zone over here, the only thing that is going to catch it is this level of support. Remember, all of this part of this graph doesn't exist yet when I was looking at it, okay? We were only looking at literally everything. I was only looking at this part right here, okay? So I knew that this is the only spot that it would catch it, okay? And in order for me to play from 131 to 126, this was not a good risk to return for me. And if you have been in this live stream before, you will know what I mean with risk and return. Let me show you really quickly. Let's see if I can do this as quickly as possible, okay? So let's assume that your entry was here, where the green line is, okay? And your stop loss would be, this is where your resistance is, and this is where your take profit is if you're thinking this is your support. Now, the problem is that your take profit, even though it's twice the distance as your resistance point up here, you realistically wouldn't, treat this as your resistance. You would treat this as your resistance, right? Somewhere up here, because you don't want to get stopped up. So the risk to reward ratio here was roughly 1:1. 1 here and 1 here. You can see the distance here is roughly equivalent to the distance here, which is why that wouldn't have been a good trade to take. However, if you move, and remember, we're talking about a put here, we're talking about a short position. So if you move your short out and you move it to the next support, which was the 120 zone, then your risk to reward ratio becomes so much better, right? If this is your risk that you're taking on, and you averaged in, scaled in between this zone here, your reward is all of this right here. And your risk is that. So your risk is something like 1, and your reward is like 2.5 to 3. Okay? And so I like these kinds of trades. There's a good risk to reward ratio. I have the confirmation of the pattern rejected with the old support turning into a resistance. I have the moving average pointing downward. Remember, this was all there. I have volume OBV, which is the on balance indicator showing flowing out volume, right? It was here when I saw it, and I saw it curving down. That was a good sign. And then what else is there? Yeah, so you have all of these things going for you, which is great. And so I decided to take the 120 put. The reason why I chose the 120 put is because that was the support right there. So it's very likely that the ticker is going to go down to test that support. And indeed, it actually went all the way to 118 yesterday, but I got out exactly at 120. So at 120, I had my limit order, and then the moment it hit 120, I put a stop loss at around 121, which was the contract price. I'm going off the contract price rather than the ticker price. And I got stopped out on Roku and sold that position. So that is how I usually look at my setup. And you obviously, all this is happening in the span of 5 to 10 minutes. There's a billion calculations going on in your head, but you have to be fast and you have to learn how to do this on the fly. You cannot have reaction time. If I were to wait even 5 minutes later, I would have missed my entry point, and then this trade would have lost its risk to reward ratio. So acting fast helps. Okay. Now another one that I took yesterday was a call out made by Will Mead. We have a guy who's calls out some crazy stuff on Twitter. I saw, what was this? Let me show you on, I think it was the 15 minute, if I'm not wrong. I was looking at it. Let's see if I can pull this up right. Yeah, this is the right chart. So I saw Zoom yesterday. This is ticker symbol ZM, Zoom Communications, which has been a recession-proof stock recently. It's been rallying, and what I saw initially, obviously I did my own due diligence before going into this trade, because I don't just follow trades with my eyes closed. So what I saw first of all was, this is how I started the analysis. First things first, I zoomed out to the daily and I looked, what is the overall trend of the stock, okay? And Zoom was somewhere here. It wasn't down there. It was somewhere here. This is after the move. That's why you're seeing this right now. I saw Zoom making highs, and then, having a resistance here, having a very strong support on the 50 moving average on the daily, right? However, it looked like Zoom has been overbought, and every time it has been overbought, you can see what happens. It has been starting to gap down. It has been starting to move down every time it gets overbought. So I thought, okay, you know what? There may be some money to be made, and I saw a succession of candles that have failed to break this resistance point over here. I knew that the actual resistance is up there, but there is a very strong resistance here. And so I knew that there was some resistance here that was failing. I saw that, SPY was showing the inability to break yesterday with, showing bearish kind of consolidation. And hence, I decided to take the short position with Zoom. And the reason why I took the short position is because I zoomed into the 15 minute and I saw this, okay? I saw that Zoom actually broke below the moving average and then stayed below the moving average on the 15 minute. And I entered the put position right there, okay? And then I rode it for about 5 minutes and sold right when it bounced. I set a stop loss, I obeyed my stop loss, and I got out. Now, this wasn't the best risk to reward trade, but because I was scalping it, it was pretty much one of the best situations to scalp that stock, because the movement was pretty big. From almost 143, I believe, it went down to 138 or something in a matter of minutes. And that was a really good trade to enter. I made like $500 on that one, okay? So just to give you a breakdown of how and why I took Zoom yesterday, okay? So I think that kind of concludes what I wanted to talk about today. Let's see, we have some questions. I know you guys have a shit ton of questions, so let's look at it. Good morning, good morning. Okay, screen share, sorry about that. Okay, cool. What about USO options? Yeah, I was saying, don't buy options for USO yet, man. It's not the right time to buy them. Wait for a considerable change in the supply, and then, or you gotta wait for demand to increase by 10 to 15%. Good morning. You was right about VZ. Great. Okay, I'm glad that I was right on something. What's your thoughts on PPD options? All right, let's see PPD. I think that's is that a Chinese company? No, PPD. Okay, let's see. Ooh, this looks nasty. Nasty. So many candlestick gaps. I hate these kinds of trades. Let's look at what other questions you guys have lined up for me. What's your thoughts on the relationship between banks and oil? I have some BSC puts Monday. Actually, there is no direct correlation, but I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why that may potentially be a good play. Damn, what is this stop? Or is this just lagging? I mean, I'm not sure what this is. I hope I'm looking at the right thing. Maybe if you can help me out and confirm this. I want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing here. If I'm looking at the right thing here, then I would recommend to wait for the bounce on this old resistance to validate this as a support before the next uptrend. I do see volume has been, kind of increasing steadily. So, although it has been rallying on very low volume, so I don't know. This is a tough one, man. I'm not even sure what this company is, but if you can give me more color on what we're looking at, that would be great. I'll move on to the next question for now and then come back to it once you answered me. Okay, so here's why buying puts on banks is a good play for the oil debacle. So now you have to realize that banks themselves have some exposure to oil as a hedge to their portfolio. So there is a high chance that on some of these prop desks, traders have taken leverage on some of these positions to trade oil. And my guess is that some of these banks are going to suffer some losses on their balance sheet. Now, the thing is, you don't want to buy those puts right now because the earnings for banks, I think, are more than likely done, right? So this is only going to show up on their next earnings report. So be careful with how you price that in. What you want to do is wait for the next earnings season and then buy like maybe, I don't know, a week or two before. Facebook to 180 today. Let's have a look at it. FB. So once again, remember how I'm showing you how I do my analysis, right? I only remember I don't use any fancy schmancy stuff, guys. Like I use simple indicators. I have a triple EMA. I use exponential moving averages because they're more sensitive to time, especially in the lower time frame. I use I use a script that plots support and resistance for me. I don't even plot my own support and resistance because why do you need to waste your time? I use volume and I use OBV. These are the only 4 indicators that I use. Sometimes I like to turn the trend painter on that shows me the bearish or bullish stance. And this trend painter is available on Option Swing. If you go look at it on the tools, you'll see it there. But majority of the time, I keep it simple. Okay, so Facebook looks interesting to me. It looks like so. It does look to me like SPY is no. It's not going to break out. I don't think it's going to break out. We're still going to honor this downtrend. I'm pretty sure about it. Just the way that it's moving, I can tell. We need SPY to break out of this zone on high volume, something like this kind of volume, in order for us to validate a change in trend. Okay. Until we don't see that, I don't think we're still gonna face downward pressure down to the 38 and then eventually down to the 50 and 61.8. So keep a watch out for that. So Facebook may rally actually on the short term today if SPY rallies. Don't forget that when SPY rallies, it's going to take tech stocks away along with it, along with the Nasdaq, right? Because the Nasdaq tracks almost the same stocks, and it behaves the same way. So if you're looking at the Nasdaq, just to give you a comparison, looking at this on the 1 hour, you can see very similar. You see that? Very similar trend. Nasdaq is just usually a bit more, less volatile, but exactly the same trend if you look at it. So keep that in mind. Facebook looks like it's in a downtrend, right? Moving average, 50 moving average below the 150 and the 200 on the daily. We have a volume that has been flowing out steadily. We saw a bounce up, and then now volume starting to flow back out again. So keep in mind the on-balance volume shows signs of descent, which is usually not a good sign, and that means volume is flowing out of the stock. Earnings is about to come up, right? When is this? Let's have a look. Earnings on 29th of April. So Facebook may or may not rally before earnings. And in fact, actually, Facebook is a heck of a company to own long term. I personally love this company to own it, for a long term. And in fact, it's one of the 4 companies that I own on my long term portfolio. But however, if you're saying it's going to go to 180 in the short term, yeah, I think it's highly possible that we will see a bounce up here somewhere in the short term before it coming back down again, along with the broader market. So that's Facebook for you. Where are your alerts? Didn't see your alert. Which alert are you talking about? How about NAT? N-A-T. N-A-T. Nordic American Tankers. I'm guessing this is a oil play for now. Let's see, what's the market cap on this one? Data. Where's the market cap? Okay, never mind, I can't see that. Just make sure that whatever you're trading has a market cap of above 10 billion. And then, it looks like this is gonna sell off though today. That's what I feel. It failed to break above this. And I think we may be going down to test the support. We see RSI's overbought as well. Volume is very high. However, you can confirm if this volume was bullish or bearish by looking at a shorter time frame. It shows here that volume was bullish. However, you can confirm on the 1 minute and see if volume was bearish. It looks like volume was bearish. However, somebody was doing a lot of buying towards the end of the day yesterday. So a lot of mixed signals with NET here. My guess is that it's going to sell off instead of being bought up. What are your thoughts on Tesla? Oh boy, that's a tough one. That's a loaded question. Let's do Tesla at the end. What about Apple? Okay, Apple's going to follow majority of what SPY does since Apple is the biggest weight. Shit, PDD. Okay, that's what I was thinking. PDD is the Chinese stock, right? Pinduoduo. When do you add in the support and resistance level? Is it while you're trading? My support and resistance levels are automatically added for me. They are basically a script that you can search for by patternsmart.com. Search support resistance pattern smart and you'll get it on TradingView. You click on this thing right here. You type pattern smart and then you go swing high low support resistance. Click on that one and then you just got to do some changes to it because I like mine's customized. So I changed the colors to the extension is when it hits that zone multiple times. So I want it to show as a stronger resistance at a deeper red and then a lighter red for a weaker resistance. Same with the supports. And then I changed it to bubbles instead of lines because I have too many lines on my chart and bubbles are just easier to look at. So that's how I have mine set up for anyone who's wondering. How much does it cost to join your Discord server? You can go to optionswing.com and it will give you a couple of choices there. I believe that it is $80 a month, but majority of those people basically make it back in a day. PDD. Okay, we'll go through PDD and Tesla and Apple. It's possible it's PDD. Leon 120 put. What are your thoughts on Walmart call option? I was looking at this yesterday, but I'm getting more convinced that Walmart's going to drop. What do you think of Intel? Scripts are you using options soon? Okay. Oh boy. Okay, a lot of loaded questions. So let's do PDD first. This is the Chinese company. Now, contrary to popular belief, Chinese stocks have been seeing some record inflows this past 2 weeks. I'm not sure if you guys have been watching, but it has been seeing some very good inflows. Now, PDD is, oh my god, wow, okay. Very interesting. Seems like it's just going to keep going. I mean, I would definitely not buy here. That's the problem with this. If anything, you want to short this, but you can't short it because you don't know how far it's going to run. So you got to draw an extension, like a fib extension, and see what kind of a level it's at right now. From the swing low to the swing high, it could possibly come down to this level right here, 0.5 or 38.2. These are the two projected levels that it could possibly come down to. However, the problem with this is figuring out the horizon, and so I would wait for the bearish momentum to come in and play this to the downside. You play this to the downside, and then you catch the next wave up. That's what I would do with PDD. Shows very, very bullish though. Broke through with good volume. Even the 50 moving is pointing upward. This may just run. It's very possible, but I think it needs a corrective wave before the next impulsive. So that's my take on this. Okay, so next one we're going to do is Tesla. Tesla is one of the most difficult stocks to figure out, okay? Because this stock is psychologically, it's a psychological stock. Tesla does what Tesla does. It doesn't follow market conditions most of the time. When it runs, it runs. When it falls, it falls. It's just the way it goes. It looks to me like this is a bearish formation to me. These group of candles here. By the way, I don't know if I showed you guys, but yesterday I posted on Everyday Growth and Educational Chat that there was a bearish formation on SPY that I want, and I posted on Instagram too if you had a look at it. The evening star formation showed up on the SPY daily chart if you look at it. Can you see that right there? This is the evening star formation, which is a bearish reversal pattern. So I just want to point that out there. Okay, Tesla. If anything, it seems like it's bearish for the short term. However, very high chance that it bounces on the 50 moving average. Apart from that, volume is still very high. There's not many people who have sold the stock. Because if you want to see this big red candle, even though a considerable amount of volume came out, the thing is the on-balance volume hasn't changed much. So you want to see this drop like lower than this previous volume in order to, say that, okay, we're seeing outflows. But by the time that happens, Tesla's already going to be here. So if you ask me, Tesla's a short-term short play based on what I'm seeing in this chart right now. Based on where it's going to open today, things might change. And it seems like, SPY wants to open up bullish today. We may see a rejection. But to me, this is a bearish scenario. Looks like a bearish formation. Looks like OBB is starting to show signs of retreat. The moving average is curving upward, but it seems like it wants to come down to test the moving average. There is no supply zone. There is no support and resistance in this stock, basically. So you're going to basically go off what you have. Apple's going to follow what SPY does. I'm not going to go through Apple because it literally follows what SPY does. Shit, PDD. When do you okay, so how much did it cost? Okay, I answered all those questions. What do you think of Intel? Intel is Intel semiconductor. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. Okay, so okay, this may be a tricky one. So with Intel, I actually see a bullish scenario instead of a bearish scenario. Reason being because volume has flowed out and it has been rallying. Wow, it's been rallying on relatively decreasing volume. So it seems like this stock might just run. Let's see. Okay, what you want to watch for here is if Intel breaks this support with big volume. You need volume of that much. You need at least that much volume. Okay, it needs to break this on big volume and come extend downward for a bearish scenario. If it bounces and fails to break this level, you can safely take $67 calls to the upside and play it about a month out, because it seems to be moving very erratically right now. So I would play it 50 to 80 days out even, maybe. That's a scenario for Intel. What script are you using for support? I just went through this. I'm using TradingView. They just invested $5 billion in India, 180 all day. Oh, I think you're talking about Facebook there? Possibly, yeah. I see a short-term retracement and then a fall after. On Discord, do you have your own channel? Yes, I do have my own channel on Discord. I run the Everyday Growth channel, which is Everyday Growth Advisors, which is the channel that I run. So, and then I run the educational chat as well. Those both are my babies. How about CODX? What do you think of Tesla? I answered this already. What are your thoughts on BA? How about Disney? Damn, a lot of requests today. Okay. How about T? How about Apple? Apple follows SPY. I'm not going to answer that one. Disney also follows SPY. You can say so, but I'll go through it as well. I think Disney bearish though, for the short term. Okay, so let's do CODX first. CODX. Ooh, what is this? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna take a little bit of a sip of water here because I gotta get my throat lubricated. Okay, CODX seems like more bullish than bearish to me. Whatever this ticker symbol is, I'm looking at it on a daily. Remember, all my breakdowns for you guys are all on a daily, and hence, make sure you do your own due diligence, but this is just the way that I'm seeing it, okay? On the daily, look at the volume. It's spiked up and stayed in this region. It hasn't sold off. That means people are holding the stock, and whatever volume that you see happening over here is all happening on pretty relatively low volume, okay? To me, this might just continue to run up. There is no reason for this to come down just yet. Moving average is pointing upward. 50 moving average pointing upward. We don't have a crossover of any moving averages. The trend is upward. If you want to trade this, you could buy $21 calls. And definitely buy it like 50 to 80 days out. Buy a long expiry. Even though this is volatile, it has days where it's moving sideways. You see that? And that's just terrible for your options. So that's the way I look at this breakdown. Went through Tesla, Boeing. So let's look at Boeing. I took Boeing calls, tried to scalp it the other day and then failed because it hit my stop loss. I really like the play for Boeing puts at this moment. However, I want to see what SPY does over here today. Actually, let me give you guys a heads up that if today I can get SPY to reverse and come kind of like hit some kind of a reversal trend over here and come back down, the moment I see SPY break below this two moving averages on the 15-minute chart, I'm going to take puts in Boeing today. I'm going to play Boeing all the way down to about $120. In fact, you could play it maybe closer to this level instead. Yeah, 120. Boeing 120 puts would be the play if you want to play that. If SPY sells off today, that's the play. Okay. Boeing is in a very big downtrend. You can see this huge fans in the moving average, and we haven't seen it even go back to test the 50, which is actually pretty ridiculous. It seems like it just nobody is wanting to buy this right now. We have volume, but we don't have buyers. Volume spiked in, spiked out, spiked in, spiked out, and is just trading sideways in a channel. If anything, I expect this to go test the bottom again before reversing up. So if you ask me about Boeing, I would say short-term puts. If today we can get SPY to turn around, then I will enter put positions. And when I say SPY turn around, I mean SPY coming back into this region here. So I'm looking at the 15-minute, okay? Next one is, I think, Disney, right? That was Disney next. Boeing, Disney. Yeah, let's do Disney next. Disney is interesting because all its parks are closed. It's furloughed 100,000 employees, and I don't see their parks remaining open anytime soon. You can see from the technicals itself, same case as Boeing, very big downtrend and trading sideways in this pattern. However, it's more apparent that OBV has flowed out and stayed out. So safely Boeing puts to, if you want to be conservative, take $90 puts for maybe a month or two out. If you want to be more risky, take the same duration for $80 puts. They will be cheaper, but they'll give you a better risk to reward ratio. Remember that you guys have to do your own risk analysis for the risk and reward, and make sure that you set your stops based on your risk and reward, and how the way that I explained it to you with the distance between your entry and your exit. Make sure that you're doing that on your own, because I can't possibly go through each and every one of them. How about T? Apple follows SPY. Not going to answer that one. What about long calls on the ticker oil? Jan $3 calls. We'll go through this in a little bit. T is I believe T-Mobile. No, AT&T. Oh, T-Mobile is T-Mus. Okay, let's see what T-Mobile is doing. I haven't looked at this one in a while. The last time I played T-Mobile, I made actually a shit ton of money. It's funny how the stock hasn't recovered. It's kind of weird. It's kind of following the same story, right? In fact, they just had same story, man. This looks bearish to me. Volumes dropped and then stayed out, hasn't moved, right? You can see it stayed in this region, hasn't, and you see outflows, right? Not inflows. Volume dropping, no retracement back to the 50 moving average. You may see like a spike and then another fall. I would play this to the downside. Maybe play it to $28, 28 puts for 50 to 80 days out. No sign of it hitting, there's no support and resistance for this to follow right now. So you're kind of playing this one in the air. If anything, puts on on AT&T. Oil. Let's see. Oil, 22, $3 calls. Oil. This is the ETN for oil. Oh man. Okay, I'm just gonna say this right now. Do not make oil plays right now. Don't make long oil plays even. You do not know when oil is gonna rebound, and I find it very difficult for this to rebound with no cut in supply and no improvement with the negotiations with Russia and OPEC. Don't forget, it's in Russia's interest to prolong this as much as possible. I've explained this so many times now. Russia has half the cost associated with producing oil. For every barrel that OPEC produces, right, Russia's cost is half. It's half. Okay? So remember, it's in Russian interest to make sure that they don't stabilize the prices. On the Discord, can you show the tab how they're set up for the alerts? You don't have to open the tabs. I just want to see the Discord footprint. What do you mean by this? On the Discord, can you show the tabs on how they're set up for the alerts? Oh, okay. You mean the call outs. Okay, so let me give you a breakdown of the Discord, okay? And hopefully this shows it to you. So let's say, okay, we have a bunch of traders here. First of all, we have Jose, who's one of our legendary traders. He is, I pretty much say, this guy is so disciplined. If you follow his plays and you follow them to the T, there's a very low chance of you messing up your portfolio unless you really messed up on your position sizing. Even if you follow his position sizing, you will get out scot-free. So let's say he plans to do an entry in a position. He gives a breakdown, first of all. He'll tell you, okay, you know, there's reason why I'm doing this. I saw this is going on. I saw that there was a call and a put in for this amount. And that's the reason. So this is how the entry and the exit usually looks like. Okay, so yesterday he called out Planet Fitness 5250 puts. This P stands for puts, and the expiry is 15th of May, and he gave you the price at which he bought it at so that you know if you're priced in or out, and the number of contracts that he bought it. Followed with a screenshot that shows you that he actually bought it. So it shows you there. And then later on, he followed up with an update. So, okay, Planet Fitness is now up 15%, and he's setting his stop loss at break even to avoid any losses. So he moved his stop loss to break even. And then he exited Planet Fitness at 77% up as he saw some bullish volume come in. So he took 7% on the trade and got out. And so that's just an example of how these go. Now we have other bunch of traders. Kevin Fomo, who's one of the legendary traders we have. This guy makes sick callouts. Like I'm saying, this guy's made $500,000 on a recent trade on Amazon. It's not even funny. Okay, Mike Mas, who is a seasoned trader who does a lot of the wheel cycle, which is selling options and then buying shares against those options to collect premium on them, which is a very complicated process if you don't understand it. But if you learn, then you will know. So he also gives breakdowns, sometimes, you know, explaining the Greek, stuff like that. He's very, very good resource to learn from. He's an experienced trader who has been doing this for a long, long time. And then we have Members Picks, which is the home to many different traders who have been approved by our channel. So that's kind of what it looks like. Just to give you a rundown, if you were thinking of joining. You think DPZ has a potential for that crazy run-up? DPZ, okay. Domino's Pizza, man. This one is actually a good one. I have been thinking of buying this one, but I just have a feeling like I'm trying to wait for this to test the 380 and see what it wants to do. That's the reason why I haven't got in, because it's just too far up for me to play this to the upside, and it's too far close to the resistance to play it to the downside. And hence, I'm a little wary. If anything, if it fails to break this resistance, you play puts and you ride this thing down. If it breaks this resistance and validates this as a support, you play this to the upside, right? Volume is very nice. In the meantime, we see upward volume with the OBV. Moving averages pointing upward, showing the bullish momentum. Overall, I like this as a long play. However, I want to wait and see what happens over here. So set an alert. To see, maybe set an alert here to see if Domino's breaks out, and then if it doesn't, then probably not. And then you can set an alert here as well to see what it does when it reaches that level. So 2 alerts should keep you in the loop with this one. AMD, okay. A lot of questions today, guys. I love them. Keep them coming. I don't mind doing these breakdowns with you guys as long as you learn and you understand what we're doing here. And if you're here for the first time, smash the like button. You know, give me a subscribe. Show some love in the comments. I would really appreciate it. Okay, AMD is definitely showing signs of a reversal here. It failed to break this resistance, and then we have a big volume bearish candle. I would play this to the downside, definitely. Volume is starting to dip downward. Let's see what SPY does today, and that would be your play. So you can see what I said. I don't think SPY is gonna, if anything, SPY comes up to the 50 to test this and then move down again. But I don't think SPY is gonna continue a run up today. I feel like it's just bull trapping. This is a bull trap. AMD, I want to say $46 puts, man. $46 puts for AMD. This is a major support zone. And then you don't sell at 46, you sell at 48, so that you have that little bit. By the time it reaches 48, your delta is going to be really nice. So And the market just opened right now, so AMD puts looks good over here. So we're actually going to be holding this live stream a little bit into the market open today. I'm sorry that this took so long today, but a lot of questions. So what's your thoughts on PG&E? Oh boy. What's your thoughts on Microsoft? Thoughts on KO? Thoughts on Uber? Okay, so let's try and break these down as quickly as possible. Microsoft, for the most part, is going to follow SPY. So I'm going to avoid going through this one because Apple and Microsoft follow SPY. Okay, PCG is Pacific Gas and Electric. That is a company utility company in California. Looks bearish to me, in my opinion. Actually, hold up. A lot of buying for volume and has stayed there, but the stock is trading in a channel. I think you should hold off trading PG&E right now. And the reason why I say this is because it's trading in a big channel, if you can see that. This channel. You could play a swing, but you should not play the swing when your trade is in the middle. You see that? You want to play the swing when it's up here or it's down here. You don't want to play the swing when it's in the middle. So wait for PG&E to come down or go up. Then you make your decision. Remind me to break down PG&E on a separate day, and I'll gladly do it for you when it has reached either one of those boundaries. Coca-Cola, very slow moving stock. Don't even think of playing options with this one. And then Uber is one we can break down. Coca-Cola, for sure, buy if you want to put it to your dividend portfolio. It's just one of those stocks that you want to own as for a dividend portfolio. Okay. Let's see with Uber. Uber looks bearish to me. Moving averages cross downward. Very big fan out on the 50. Possible down back to the 20 region, like 20 supply, 20 demand zone, 21 maybe even. This 50 moving average is acting as a very strong resistance point, and the old you can see this green, the dotted line, acting as a very strong resistance as what it was as a support previously. So wait for Uber to break below this level right here. What is this? 2670. Set your alert there. If it breaks there on volume, write this thing down to 21, 22 even. 22 is best. So set the alert there. If it breaks, write it on 22. Simple. All right. Well, I think that kind of concludes today. Oh, Tilray. Okay. TLLY. Pot stocks doing decent this time of year because of the oh wow, this is definitely interesting. Very big volume came in. I would be bullish on Tilray. Play this up to $10, but take a very long expiry. It's moving very slowly, so I would take a very long expiry on Tilray. Do like maybe, I don't know, 80 days, 90 days out, 3 months out. It seems like it's started to bottom out here. It hit the support and it's starting to show signs of reversal. Yeah, I would play Tilray to the upside, especially since I'm bullish on weed stocks now that everyone's at home. More people are going to smoke weed when they're at home, so just my 2 cents. All right, guys, that was very will you do a video on fib retracement and support resistance? Yes. Watch out for, yes, I'm definitely doing a video on this. It's going to be the next video out, so stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be out, I'm projecting to release it pretty soon. I'm almost done with the working for it, so just stay tuned and be patient with me. The next video is going to blow your mind. I have broken down support and resistance into many different things for you guys, so it's very comprehensive and one of the best videos that I think that I have ever created. So stay tuned for that. Happy trading today. Thank you for tuning into the stream. If this was your first time here, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and love to all of you guys, and peace out. See you on Friday for the next one.